Good morning and welcome to Craner's Corner with daily technical update. It is Wednesday, the 15th of January. And in this educational video, I will start with Eli Lilly that got sold off heavily yesterday. Excuse me. About 6.5% down, just above the key support here at 725 and 3/4. And you can see it comes back from this region over here, that is key support. However, I think we will see it drift lower in the coming weeks. We are below the 55 that is declining. We are below the 100. We are below the cloud, and we are in a negative sentiment with just minor divergence here back here. We are back below the 40 threshold. I think we'll see further selling pressure, and it could take it down to this gap area here between 667 and 619 in this region here, where we have the 100 moving average on the weekly coming up. Negative sentiment on the RSI weekly also. I think we'll see Eli Lilly pushing lower in the coming weeks, maybe even lower than this. So it's following through like Novo Nordisk, which is their main competitor in the weight loss business. On the S&P 500 index, more or less unchanged yesterday, trying to get back above 5,865 and failed for now. If it takes out the lows from the 13s at 5,773, then expect a sell-off down to 5,674, possibly lower to 5,600 and the 200 moving average. It is under pressure at the moment. We are actually in a confirmed bearish trend with lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So it could continue, but it needs further confirmation right there. And pre-market, well, it's more or less unchanged. Nasdaq 100, also in a bearish trend, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. But has bounced, trying to get back above 21,000. It's not there. It's still above the cloud. It's still positive sentiment on the RSI, but it is testing the 40 threshold here, and it's formed this falling wedge-like pattern. And the breakout of this could be the indicator for the direction. So let's see if it breaks below 40 threshold, and if and that will probably occur if it takes out the 13th general low at 20,538. The Dow Jones Index had a better day yesterday, about 0.5% higher after bouncing off from the just below the 42,000. There is divergence here on the RSI. You can see the lows are lower here on the actually index, but the RSI is higher. Excuse me. That is indicating a divergence, and we could see a bounce further up to 42,850, maybe a little bit higher, but we are below the cloud at the moment, so we are still in a bearish trend, but just some indication of a trend exhaustion. On the European market and EURUSTOXX50, a little bit higher yesterday, but failed to close about 5,000. So still a little bit weak uptrend. If it takes out 5,916, well, then we could see it being hit by further selling down to 48.50, maybe lower. But for now, we are still in positive territory, but still a little bit also divergence on the RSI. About 0.25% up here pre-market. And the DAX index still above this rising trend line here, so still in a bullish trend. No divergence on the RSI. If RSI moves back above 60 threshold, and then I think we'll see a new all-time high. If it takes out 20,000, 16 or 20,000 here, then expect a sell-off down to below 19,670 level. Euro dollar has formed what could be a bottom reversal pattern at Doji morning. Excuse me, Doji morning. Bottom and reversal pattern actually shot down here and then bounced, and I think we'll see at least up to 103.50 testing the upper falling trend line here, but there is room up to 104.60 level, 55.60 level here at the 61.8 retracement, and we also have some strong resistance. If it takes out the lows from the 13th, well, downtrend will resume with a push towards par, and I think we're going that direction eventually, but we are ripe for correction. The sterling dollar cable could also bounce, but it is struggling a little bit for the moment. If we get a positive day and takes it above yesterday's peak, well, then I think we can see at least at 123.70 and testing these upper falling trend line here. But for now, quite weak, and it has cancelled its divergence, as you can see here on the RSI. So it has actually cancelled that, meaning we can remove it. And there is a potential lower to 120, as you can see, 120. 30-35 level here on the weekly chart. Euro sterling had a strong move off lows here, and this morning has tested the peak here at 84.65, and we have some strong resistance here. I think we could see a little bit of a setback next few days, maybe dipping down to around 84 level, and if we add a Fibonacci, we can maybe get an indication of where we could push to in a correction. Yeah, maybe down to around 84, 83, 88 level, but the candidate is out the box, and I think we will push higher in the coming weeks, but we just need a correction before a next move higher. Dollar yen has still fairly trading sideways, 155.95. So in yen pairs in general they haven't done much here the past few days, but as you can see, RSI back below 64, so still in positive, but the divergence is there, so indicating it was the trend exhaustion, but I need to confirmation about below 155.95, but it could come under pressure. If it takes out 158.90, well, then there's potential up to 162. And euro yen also, well, after this bounce here back above the clouds, still positive sentiment on the RSI. If it can follow through, well, there's still strong overhead resistance with the 200 moving average here and 165. That could be really a struggle to break. And we have the 55 moving average declining here, dragging it down a little bit. So a little bit indecisive, and I will wait to see for some direction. The Aussie yen. Aussie yen still below the rising trend line, negative sentiment on the RSI. If it takes out the lows there from the 13s, well, then expect a push down to around 95 and possibly lower. Let's remove this one, it's actually obsolete now. But it is a little bit frustrating what's going on here, but I think we will see it lower. We have the 55 breaking below the 100, and they're both declining, and we are below the cloud, so I think we'll see it pushing lower in the coming days and weeks. Sterling yen lower this morning, back below the cloud, trying to get back in here, was back in, but it never got back above it. We have 55 also declining here, negative sentiment on the RSI. I think we'll see it push towards these lows here around 189, 188. Aussie dollar still trying to bounce after this sell-off here, but we are still in this falling channel like pattern. There is divergence, so as you can see here on the RSI is higher there than here, but market moved lower. So we are in a trend exhaustion mode, short term at least. And if it starts moving above the upper falling trend line, well, there's a little bit of resistance there, 63, and let's see if that scenario plays out. For now, I will wait a little bit, but I think we will see a little bit of a bounce. But I don't have a bottom reversal pattern in place, and I don't need to have that just to get a correction. But still, that would be a nice indication. Dollar Canada is still in this limbo here in this region between 143.5, 143.30 and 144.70. I would say add a little bit to it. Let's see if it can follow through. What is interesting is there's no divergence on the RSI, still showing positive sentiment. And what I will do, I will add a trend line to it here. So if it starts breaking above the trend line and above the back above the 60 threshold on the RSI, then I think we'll see a bullish break of this range pattern behavior there. Sterling Canada, well, I expected a bounce. It hasn't just yet materialized. still trying to push lower, and we are in a negative sentiment. And as we can see here, there is no divergence on the RSI. Let's see, let's have a look. Oh, sorry, there is a little bit because this low over here. No, there's no divergence. Sorry, there's no divergence on the RSI. The thing is, it actually got cancelled over here. So now we have a new situation. So no divergence. So we could see a push lower. And where could we see it pushing lower to? We could actually see it pushing lower to this area here around, we are already there at the moment. So it's really in a bearish trend. So maybe we have to go back all the way to these levels here to see just around 173. And looking at the weekly chart, I think we should have sometimes we have to take a step back. See, it actually broken the medium-term rising trend line here. If RSI on the weekly also moves back below 40 threshold, well, then there's further downside potential to 172.5, maybe even down to this area around 170, 169 medium term, not short term. EURUSD still in this ascending triangle-like pattern, needs to break out of it for direction. So wait and see for that. Dollar Swiss has formed the top and reversal pattern up here, like in the form of a doji evening pattern. This is the doji, and you have the bullish candle, then you have this doji, which is more or less opening and closing same price, and then you have a bearish candle. That is a shift of power indication, a shift of power from buyers to sellers. So I think we'll see a correction down to at least around 90.25 with a 38.2 retracement. If it takes out that, well, then we could see it down all the way to the 61.8 at 89.10 area. But for now, I think the short term at least just around that levels, and then we can discuss what if. Divergence on the RSI, you see that the RSI values are declining, indicating a bullish trend exhaustion short term. More or less the same picture on dollar index. You can see very nice doji evening pattern here. Top and reversal, at least I think we'll see down to around 108.25, where we have some support. If it takes out that, well, then there is potential down to 107.16, which is 61.8. But let's see, this is a fairly strong support. Also, we have the rising trend line adding a little bit of support there. And what we can see, and just I haven't drawn it, but you can actually see there is divergence on the RSI, so it supports the picture of a bullish trend exhaustion. Gold is trying once again bouncing from the 55 moving average and the upper part of the cloud, currently above the falling trend line here, where it was a little bit earlier this week. So if it can follow through and if it can take out these peaks here just below 2700, I think we'll also see RSI closing above the 60 threshold, and if it does, it will support much higher levels. And then I think this resistance here 27, 21, 20, 25-ish will be taken out, and we will push higher. But I need confirmation right there on the RSI. The silver spots seems to be trading maybe in this rising channel. I have deleted everything else. Yes, we did have a double bottom like pattern here, but it's struggling a little bit, and we were below the upper part here for that, but still it's trying to push higher. There was divergence on the RSI indicating trend exhaustion, but we have the 55 coming down here below the 100, so it will be under pressure for some time. I can't see it crawling above $31 anytime soon. So it will be a little bit of a struggle. If it takes out the lows here from yesterday at 29.5, then I think we could see if we could revisit a 28.75 level. And on copper is yesterday closed above the 33.5 resistance, confirming this double bottom like pattern here. Positive sentiment on the RSI. If we can get it back above 440 and above the cloud, well, then there's potential for 50 and also higher. But it will be a little bit of a struggle, I would say. But you can see the moving average is starting to turn around, starting to move bullish. The 100 already is the 55 coming in. So we could still see it sliding back, but I think we will see it crawl higher in the coming weeks. But it will not be without a struggle. crude oil, and here WTI spiked above resistance and 78.46. We are in a bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. I think we could see it pushing higher towards $80 fairly soon if it does close above on weekly, above the 78.46. We have confirmed the bullish trend, especially if we can get the RSI to close above 60 threshold also on a weekly, then we could see it pushing higher towards 85. Brent crude oil, obviously more or less the same picture. We have got rejected here at 81.58, a little bit of a setback. Could still see a little bit of a setback. And here we can see on the weekly chart why it is such an important level, 81.59.58, and the upper falling trend line here. So we are really at a crossroads at the moment. I have to stay above, and we need the RSI to close back above 60 threshold. However, the RSI is in a positive sentiment, no divergence. So we are in a bullish trend, but it really needs to take out and close above 81.58 to follow through. Dutch gas, after its strong bounce, it is still above the clouds, still positive sentiment on the RSI. Same picture on the weekly RSI. Despite the fact there's a bit of divergence here on the RSI, you can see it's declining, market moved higher, but we are in a bullish trend. There is potential still up there. It is a struggle for it, and as consumers here in the winter, we should be happy about it not going totally ballistic. If it takes out the peak from yesterday, I expect a move towards 51. And finally, Henry Hub gas is still the key here, close above $4 or not. As long as it doesn't do that, then I think it will be under pressure, and then it could be a little bit of a struggle to take out the peak there with this very bearish candle there that was a signal of trying to start higher but couldn't hold on. So I think we will be caught in this region here between $3.50 and around $4 for quite some time. Onto yields and the US Treasury yields, the 10-year stalling a little bit, but positive sentiment and no divergence, as you can see, really confirming higher levels here. Also on the weekly, same picture. I think we will reach 5%, maybe February, maybe March. It is a little bit stretched short term, but not that much, and I think we are still on course for 5% here in Q1. On the 2-year, slided back a little bit overnight. Excuse me, in the late session, but we are in a bullish trend, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Positive sentiment on the RSI supporting that. So I think we'll see a push towards 450. On the euro yield side, we had the Eurobond yield, or the euro yield, pushed higher yesterday, almost up to the 265. We are a bit stressed at the moment, but there's still room up to around 270 here, where we have a little bit of a strong resistance, and which is also around the 138 projection of this move here, this V-shaped move here. So there is energy up to around that level, and I think we'll reach it possibly end of January around that time. On the UK, also pushed higher, and we could see here that it is also pushing higher yesterday, and it is eyeing 5%, and I think it will be reached fairly shortly, despite we are a little bit stressed. As you can see, the RSI is above 80 threshold or 80 level, so we are a little bit stressed, but I think we could spike up to 5% and then expect a correction. On Bitcoin, well, that spike below on the 13s is trying to crawl back above the 55 moving average. So the shoulder pattern is not yet confirmed. I need to be confirmed with staying below the 90,000 level and the RSI getting below 40 threshold for that picture to play out. So for now, it is still a potential shoulder pattern. If it starts crawling back here and taking out the peak here at 102,736, well, then this picture will be demolished and we are back in bullish trend. Ethereum, well, spiked below the 3,000 support area and still holding on a little bit, but it is actually in a bearish trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, so a little bit under pressure all here on the Ethereum. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again tomorrow.